Okay, we're
Oh,
live. Well, we're live. I'm here. I am Sirius here with Nick with Lamprey. We're going to do another Saturday night live broadcast for anybody out there that might be listening. We got a few topics we're going to talk about, which include and not limited to porn, intimacy, the rat race, and we're going to start off by talking about something interesting called the SS El Faro. If you guys don't know about it, well, we'll explain it in a minute. In the meantime, I think you got a message there from Sovereign.
yep.
What's he saying?
He's getting on board now.
Perfect, perfect. So we got 4 watching now, apparently. You guys, if you're watching and you're in the chats, you got any questions, please feel free to put them down. Um, so yeah, Nick, let's talk a bit to start with about the El El Faro, the SS El Faro, which I think it said means the lighthouse.
I didn't even know what it meant, so that's new to me. I didn't Google search what the translation is
Means the lighthouse, apparently.
in Spanish.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about the El Faro today because it happens to be the anniversary of it sinking a few years ago. I think maybe 2 years ago.
That's right.
It was a 800-foot cargo vessel that was sailing. Was off the coast of Bermuda, and it was caught in the middle of a hurricane. And 33 sailors lost their lives. And it's a really sad story. You know, we all know about the perfect storm. Well, this is the perfect storm, just with a much bigger vessel, a little bit more modern times. And it was just how people overestimate themselves. People think they're invincible, and the captain and its crew certainly felt that way. And they went down in a horrible tragedy. Dead of night, 100+ mile per hour winds, in an eye wall of a hurricane.
Mm.
And There's transcripts online of it. You can read for yourselves. Unfortunately, the audio is not released to the public. I don't think it ever will, because if you actually read the transcript and just how awful it was, how they perished in a horrible fashion. If anybody could fathom the thought of being in a storm like that in the dead of night. You're about 60. I think there were 40 or 60 miles off the coast of anything that was land,
Mm.
and the crew and everyone perished. The captain was the last one off the ship. The captain tried his best to try to save one of the crew members, and that was on the last end of the recording before it cut short.
Yeah, I think they were off the coast of the Bahamas when they got. I think it was in the Bermuda Triangle, didn't they say that's where it went
Yeah,
wrong?
it was considered the Bermuda Triangle. And also, what was very strange was that the captain made a call to the company before he made a call to the Coast Guard to tell the company that I'm gonna lose the ship. I'm gonna dump all the cargo. I think it was luxury cars he was carrying back to the States, or vice versa.
I
I
think he
don't
was going
really
away.
remember.
He was going away from the States. He was leaving. I think he was going south.
He was
Yeah.
so he's delivering cars, and he called the company, and if the one audio clip is the I guess the customer service rep or whoever was handling the phones says, "Oh, how do you spell that? El Faro?" And the captain is just like, "Oh my God, I don't have the time for this. We're about to die. I don't have time to sit on a queue, to tell
Yeah.
everybody we're about to go down."
Well, here I'll read from a little bit from this article where it says, and it was a hurricane. This was October 1st, 2015. It
Okay.
says as the Category 4 storm bore down on the Bahamas with winds peaking at 140 miles an hour. People evacuated and vessels raced for safety, but one ship did not. The SS El Faro, a cargo carrier whose veteran 33-member crew enjoyed modern navigation and weather technology, sailed straight into the raging heart of the storm. This was a Category 4 hurricane, and it was Hurricane Joaquin. How the fuck do you say that? Joaquin. QUI. It sounds like
Jacquin. Jacquin.
it's like a black woman's name.
Mm. Probably Haitian.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it was on October 1st. It's almost the anniversary of it, the second anniversary. And so a lot of the back and forth with the people that went through the transcripts, that trying to find who's at fault. Why did this happen? A lot of people tried to say that the captain was at fault because he didn't take the warning seriously. But then apparently there was a bunch of lawsuits because apparently some of the families tried to sue the company, the shipping company. The shipping company tried to sue this weather providing network I was reading about because they were giving them weather updates that were like hours old. So it's kind of a
Correct.
it was kind of a big mess. Everybody was trying to figure out who to blame.
Well, I don't think it was so much. I think it was enough blame to go around for everybody, and I think the biggest blame is again you think you're invincible. I mean, who thinks of an 800-foot ship sinking these days? I mean, it's about a little bit under the size of the Titanic, but roughly probably a lot wider than the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
And most of these cargo vessels go through hurricanes with no problem, and I don't see it being plausible to even attempt to go through a hurricane, regardless of the size of the vessel. And also it goes to show you the capitalist drive that you got to make money, you got to get it done, you have to go through with it. And the captain actually was in trouble previously, about decades before, for complaining about the state, the vessel he was on board, and they relieved him of his command. And I don't think he wanted to be relieved of his command a second time around because he was, undermining orders from the higher ups.
Yeah, because it did mention something like that in kind of near the end of the article about how just the need to get the product to its destination for to get sold or for the transactions to occur kind of outweighs the need for safety.
Well, I kind of, in a way, I'm going through the same thing at my job, where you're afraid to say, no, I can't do it, and I don't know. Americans, for the most part, are afraid of saying, I don't know something. Americans in general think they know everything. And, I think the captain kept asking the engineers, can you get the plant, meaning the engines and everything, the whole compartment down there, can you get it up and running? And the engineers were like, yeah, we got it. Don't worry, Captain. The captain should have stepped in and said, hey, wait a second. I should really, ask him, do you have this under control or not? You need to let me know. And even towards the very end, the last 15, 20 minutes, he kept radioing the chief engineer saying, what's the status on the engines? Now, we left out a part that they lost propulsion. Now, I don't know if anybody understands anything about anything with nautical and boating. When you lose propulsion in any type of storm, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're at the whims of Mother Nature at that point. Now, mind you, again, they were on the eye wall, the strongest part of the hurricane. They were in the eye wall when this all happened, and they were taking on water for another reason. Now, obviously, they have enough pumps and alternatives and countermeasures to counter the flooding. But if you're taking on water and you still have all those pumps, you're in the ocean. You're not. I don't care how strong of pumps you have. You're not going to be able to beat Mother Nature.
Well, here it says, because especially when you're talking about the inability to say I don't know. It says here, by spring 2017, all of El Faro's crew's next of kin had settled claims against Tote, which is the shipping company, for pain and suffering. And then last May, those insurers launched a lawsuit against Storm Geo, the company that owns Bon Voyage Systems, and it had these outdated reports, so they blame them. So here comes all the blame, right? Who's at fault?
Well, again, you're relying on technology. You can't, even with pilots today, they operate on autopilot now. So you're relying on a computer. And most captains, especially the captain of his age, I mean, the guy was in his 50s, he should have known, and he has enough knowledge to go around not using computers and stuff and use his own mind, his own experience to know if you're in trouble or not.
Well, it says here too. He says this guy named Kurt Brewer. This again is in the article. Who used to work on it, said the laws need to be changed. Exactly, the industry is more interested in protecting the Jones Act, which is the law that requires that only U.S. ships sail to and from U.S. ports, than they are about safety. They don't care about U.S. mariners. We're just replaceable bodies. So, I mean, there's the argument for the dollar over the lives of the people. But when you talk about people refusing to say they don't know, you know, that does go into red pill territory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because one of the fascinating things about red pill, which can transcend beyond just issues of men, but it has to do with the truth, and it has to do with the truth is something that needs to be understood, not something that you can just ignore. You know.
Well, people again, that goes back to people not, not saying that they don't know that they're afraid of making mistakes. People are petrified of making the mistakes. People are afraid of saying no, and our society does not like incompetence. They want to know you can get the job done.
Yeah, that's right.
If you show weakness in any job, if you start griping and complaining, people don't want to hear it. People just plug in someone else to do the job.
Yeah, that's true. I think it goes beyond just well, I don't know what American culture. You can find
Yeah,
that
it's
in a
more.
lot. Yeah.
So it's really just if they obviously were unprepared. Even when the ship was sinking, they were still unprepared. I mean, the ship was sinking the entire time. They just didn't know the extent of how bad they were in trouble. Obviously, it was a slow leak. It was a slow progression. They thought they had it under control, and unfortunately, 33 lives perished. And it marks the anniversary. It's a forgotten story. I think when it actually happened, when I saw it on my news feed while I was in Cambodia, it was at the bottom of the news feed. I'm like, this is actually a really big story, and it was really sad how the media downplayed it, and how it will be lost in the sands of time.
Yeah.
This story. I mean, we all know about the perfect storm. There was a movie about it, but this is a little bit different. And even the perfect storm, it was about they had to get the product back
Hmm.
to shore. They had to get the fish. Do we wait it out? Do we wait the storm out and lose the goods, or do we just forge through and bring it home? And again, they were money hungry. If you remember the whole movie, I don't know how much of that movie is true because honestly, they have no idea what was on the. I think that boat was called the Andrea Gale,
Mm.
and no one really talks about. We don't actually know what transpired on that ship because there's no
They don't have
recollection
a
of it.
record.
But
Yeah.
right, there's no record of it, obviously, but we have a record of the El Faro
Yeah.
from start to finish, from leaving port to when it sank, and the captain obviously the captain overestimated the reliance on technology, the thing where a lot of people think you're not going to die, you'll live forever. We're unstoppable, we're unsinkable. This is the modern age, and guess what? Mother Nature got the best of it in that hurricane.
Oh yeah, and I recommend anybody watching. I stuck the link into the chat, the live chat. I recommend going in there and reading the transcripts because it's really chilling, actually.
Very
Um,
chilling, very disturbing. It was one of the most disturbing things I've ever read in my life.
yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it would be something to actually listen to it, but like you said, I doubt that'll ever be made public. But yeah, just absolutely chilling. Go ahead and read it because, and there is something interesting in there for the listeners. Uh, which could be men related, is the second or the first mate was a woman, and there was a moment where the woman was asked to change direction. So she went to see the captain and say, "Hey, I think we should turn around and go back." And the captain said, "No, we won't." And then there was a moment where she kind of had a bit of inner conflict and thought, should I disobey the captain? Should I kind of, I don't know what you call that, not mutiny, but should I disobey the captain or should I just do what he says? And she just did what he said.
That I think that would be considered mutiny.
Yeah. So there was a lot of interesting drama in there, a lot of interesting characters.
Well, I found it interesting. I love boats. I always been fascinated with the water. So it was really interesting to see what ways of getting around the problem that they were in, trying to troubleshoot the issue. Okay, can we use this pump? Can we seal off this part, this compartment? All right, can we do X, Y, and Z? Can we start up this generator? I thought that was really interesting. Because I thought that was kind of cool, trying to figure out how do we get around this issue without losing the ship.
Hmm. There's somebody in the comment section talking about things you can do. You can still run sail, bear, pole using anchors. Throw out a couple of dinghies, emergency vessels, strap them to one side, and you will have the capability of directional control limited. Use your anchors and
They
create.
had no control. That was the whole problem towards the end of it. And there's a
Yeah.
point in the transcript where they says, "Did we just lose the plant? Did we just lose the plant? We lost power." And as soon as that happened, that
It's over.
game is off. They had a 15-degree list, and the list was on the side where the wind was blowing. So you have the wind blowing and the water trying to push your ship over. You stood no chance. They were fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty crazy, man.
Where was the Coast Guard too? I mean, the Coast Guard should, with all the GPSs and navigation, the Coast Guard should have been fully aware where that ship was and what it was doing, and the Coast Guard should have reached out asking, "Are you guys all right?"
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm pretty I don't know a lot about sailing, a lot about ships and sailing. Very, very limited experience in my life of that. So, but definitely a tragedy. That's for sure.
Well, I do. I go fishing overnight fishing in the Atlantic. I'm usually maybe like 20 or 30 miles off the coast, and
Wow.
I'm on obviously a much smaller boat, much smaller vessel. And even at night, dead calm. It's pretty scary. You're in the shit. You're no one's around you, and to be at night plus a hurricane, man, that's scary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hurricane season, man.
Is it a weather manipulated?
Who knows, man? Who the fuck knows? Who knows?
I don't believe in that. That's pretty extreme. I mean, I know there's we're getting into conspiratorial talk, but there's a lot of hurricanes this season. I don't but now every storm is linked to climate change, which is quite comical.
Yeah, they have to do that. but but
They,
weather manipulation isn't that far fetched. I mean, it does happen. They can seed clouds. They can seed clouds to rain. Like there has been technology for limited weather control and manipulation for a long time. Um, there's a video out on what's that English TV show that those English guys driving cars around? The fuck was it called?
I have no idea.
Oh, fuck it. It's kind of like a show where they drive cars and they give reviews. It was a big automobile show. I can't remember what the fuck it's called. Anyway, there's one episode where they were in the States and they were showing NASA. They had this huge, giant outdoor machine, and NASA was pumping out clouds. They were actually making clouds, which is just a chemical reaction. So they're pumping out clouds, and then the clouds would condense and rain. Like they can make it rain.
I wonder what the. I mean, okay, well, all right. So would they go through with weather manipulation to the point to push the climate change agenda? That's the big question. That to me,
God.
that sounds really kind of far fetched.
I don't know, man. Like that shit. I don't know. Who knows?
No.
I mean, exactly. You need some kind of evidence for that, and there really isn't any. But I mean,
No, there is. It's sort of chemtrails, and I'm like, I don't know about all that. I don't really know enough about it to make a case. But what I will say is that in the U.S. they have been tearing down dams. They want to push put Mother Nature or the topography or the geography back to the way it was prior to the Industrial Revolution. And
What?
what they're doing is because they're tearing down the dams, certain areas along the Mississippi are getting flooded. And I do know that that is certainly happening. And they're saying, oh, look at the flood. All these houses are now underwater. Yeah, because you tore down the dams. The dams were there to protect people's farms and land. And now you got rid of the dams. Now look what's happening. And now people are claiming, the climatologist or weatherman or whatever you want to call them are now saying, well, look, you see now, look, this area is flooded.
Well, no,
Well, yeah, it's flooded because you dams.
there's definitely an agenda to push the concept of man-made climate change, man. It's a money game. It's a political scheme. It's bullshit. And they'll find any way to push that agenda.
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole. I know a lot of people that work in the UN and different NGOs and branches of NGOs and foundations that make money off of this. And another reason why they hate Trump is that whole industry is now in jeopardy because you have Donald Trump who doesn't believe in climate change, wants to get rid of that whole industry. So they're going to try to amp up their cause for their jobs.
Well, just on a side note, and it's not something we need to focus on, but you mentioned chemtrails, right?
Yeah.
As an opposite to contrails, condensation trails. And the thing about chemtrails is, I remember before I left to Indonesia, so this would have been in like 2001, and I had moved back from the coast. I was living on the west coast, British Columbia, for quite a few years, and I just moved back. I was back with my family in southern Alberta, and here we have big sky, huge sky, right? You can see sky forever. And I remember the concept of chemtrails was big back then. People were talking about it, right? And I remember one day, one summer afternoon, I was sitting out in the backyard of my father's house, really, really big backyard. And I was looking up, just looking up at the sky, watching the sky. It's huge. And you can see planes going overhead. And this is a small town. I mean, not a small city. It's a small city. And I counted.
Right.
I counted about, because I was counting, and I counted about 2.5 dozen planes in 2 hours flying overhead. And each plane that flew over, it looked like a commercial jet, is what it looked like. I didn't have binoculars. I didn't have any way to look at it closer. And each plane that flew over left a long trail of either condensation or chemicals. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Now, each trail, it didn't evaporate. It stayed. It lingered in the air. And it made these crisscross patterns. And then eventually, the trails would just sort of, dissipate, stretch out, and form like this mist, this layer of like misty cloud. Like, this was definitely artificial.
So you've seen it. You've witnessed it.
I've witnessed it, man. It's definitely artificial. Like, what they're doing is artificial, and it's pretty obvious to anybody that's witnessed it. Like, it's certain areas, if you go out and look at certain times, it's so obvious that this is not, this is a very artificial thing that's happening. And that day, what I did was I called the air traffic control, because there's a very small airport just south of the city. It's a local airport, goes to local places. So I called the air traffic control directly, and I got through, and I said to the guy, I said, hey, this was like a Saturday afternoon, and I said, is there any way you can tell me like what kind of the average traffic is over the city on a day like today? Like, and he goes, and I said, because I've counted like almost about 2.5 dozen planes in under 3 hours. Like, is that normal? I was like, is that normal? And the guy said to me, well, actually, no, that's not really normal for our traffic, but you'd have to call some of the larger airports, and the largest one is like 2 hours north, and you'd have to maybe call them, and maybe they could update you on the kind of traffic that comes over. And I said, well, I mean, have you ever seen this before? because I mentioned the trails. I mentioned like the condensation trails that I witnessed, and he goes, actually no, and he goes, I never actually really look up that much. And
That's funny.
that was the air traffic controller guy. He's like, I don't really look up that much. So
I don't think most people do. I don't think a lot of people actually look up at the sky and see and notice anything.
no, they don't, man. Most people are looking at their feet.
Right, you're focused on the ground. I mean, the sky's the sky. You know, there's not really much going on up there, so most people obviously won't pay no mind to it.
Yeah, they don't know, but nobody pays any attention, man. But I've seen it, and it's
a weather balloon.
Yeah, it's very odd. Like, it's definitely artificial.
Right.
I'm not going to pretend I know what the fuck it is, or why they're doing it. I have no idea. But it's definitely it exists. A phenomenon exists. It's definitely artificial. A lot of people have seen it, but nobody official is talking about it, as far as I know. So who knows? Who the fuck knows, man?
Yeah, but if you're gonna do that, here's the thing though. Like, if let's say that what you said, what you witnessed, but nothing happened afterwards or the following day, correct? Was there any weird? Did it downpour? Was there thunder and lightning?
No, the only thing that I witnessed was the trails that they were spraying, I guess you could say. They didn't just disappear. They formed a layer of clouds. So there was a very visible, thick, misty kind of layer of cloud that covered the entire sky, like to the horizon. And then it stayed there for the rest of the day, and then into the next day, obviously it was gone. What it was doing, I have no idea. But it definitely, one effect it would have, obviously, is you're not getting as much sunlight in. Obviously. But other than that, I don't recall if there was like any kind of major change in the weather. I don't think so. The only visible and measurable change was suddenly there was this thick layer of kind of wispy cloud that covered the entire sky from horizon to horizon. That existed.
Was it pretty?
I don't know. Not really.
Not
really.
It's funny. Speaking of on the El Faro and its transcript, have you ever listened to any black box recordings of airplanes going down?
No, I've never. Why? Can you find those?
Oh wow, you're missing out on some great ones, man. There's some great ones. There's a YouTube video where it shows you the last sentences of black box recordings for like the past 20 years, and there's some. Let me tell you some pretty epic things men and pilots have said before crashing.
These people are dead.
Yeah. The best one I read, it was like one from like the late 70s, and the pilot was a black guy, and his last words were, "This is it, baby." Like, I could totally picture like that black dude. Yo, this is it, baby, going down. Oh hell. That's my favorite. This is it, baby. I was like, that's pretty boss. There was one in Poland where the captain called the whole flight crew into the cockpit to scream into the black box all at the same time, and it's like, "Good night, good luck, we die," like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. What is
most the pilots cry for their mothers. Mom, I love you, mom. That seems to be the most popular saying before or fuck. That's the other one. fuck me. I fucked up. Or the one was a return to his co-pilot said, "I'm sorry, man, I fucked up." Like, you know.
There's nothing you can do either, eh? All you can do is just forgive.
Nice.
Yeah.
One great debate I have with my friends is a stoner conversation. It makes me want to partake in some festivities right about now. But would you rather get blown up out of the sky or die in a submarine?
Jesus, sky blown out of the sky.
Yeah, I think blown out of the sky is better.
Too claustrophobic, drowning. No thanks. Rather just get blown out of the sky.
Yeah, that's a shitty way of going down. Like in the movie Abyss, where what's her face dies and the water just slowly creeping up. Awful.
Yeah, that would be awful. Hey, I wanted to go into that video that you sent me. You guys listening, Nick sent me a video of, I don't know, about a week ago. The channel is the Kelly 67. It's Powers and Principles episode 17. Stick the link into the chats if you guys ever.
Great channel, great red pill channel. You do not get any more epic and red pilled than listen to T. Kelly's channel.
It's a good channel, great channel. I've explored it a little bit, but I haven't looked at a lot of his videos yet. But this one you sent me, I don't know, man. It kind of like he definitely gets into kind of conspiracy and psychology, behavior, history. But in this one, he's talking about pornography. And the one thing that I noticed is that being a MGTOW, kind of swallowing that red pill, even the most intelligent and well-thought men tend to go very kind of what's the word, gynocentric. Because in that video, he's basically saying that this sort of destruction of the relationship between men and women in the modern world today, and porn's influence, is basically the fault of just horrible men who become addicted to porn, and therefore now there's no good men for women to find. And I found that very demoralizing for men.
There's a lot of conservatives take that view that pornography is a big blame on the state that we're in. I do not take that view whatsoever. No, but please go on.
Yeah, and so I think people that think that they're missing the point, and I think a lot of MGTOW and people that are red pilled would agree with me, is that what we're seeing is that, and I'm not going to, porn is not something that I would like advocate for people to consume. I mean, whatever, you're an adult, but porn's not going to help you. But it's certainly not the cause of this breakdown of relationships. In fact, I think for most men, it's a reaction. Porn is a retreat. If porn didn't exist, the current situation between men and women would cause men to actually invent it.
Well, look at Japan. They're trying to invent robots. Yes. Like, man, I mean, thank God for the Japanese male for being the forerunner, trying to sort out the problem. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they'll get it done. They'll figure out the sex bot with a warm hole. They'll make it happen.
Oh yeah, they're getting pretty good with that. But I mean, this is the thing: is like it being a MGTOW, it always kind of irks me when I hear other men coming down on men, going, "Oh, it's the men's fault. The men, they're watching porn. Oh, those poor women." Because what happens is men are infantilizing women, and this is the biggest problem I find today. Is men, we're in this, we're so deep in this gynocentric hole that now men are infantilizing women to the point where we assume that they have the capacity of a child and therefore cannot be held responsible for the shitty things that they do. And this is a really dangerous way to see things. And this blaming, men watching porn on this is part of that problem.
Well, what has happened, I do think that, including myself, is you've become somewhat of a porn-addicted hermit. Porn is it's turned into a vice. It's like, you know what? I had such a bad day. I want to go watch a fucking Bang Bros video, or I'm trying to find the right word, but it's like, I don't want to refer to it as shooting up. But it's like, all right, it's a relief. It's like, I didn't I didn't meet any girls today. I haven't talked to any women. Thank God that there's pornography to offset my miserable life.
Right. Well, the thing is with porn, like, and it's the same with any kind of drugs. any kind of drug, whether it be alcohol or tobacco, it doesn't matter. Like basically what happens is that it becomes a release that we kind of fall into. It becomes a habit, and it becomes a release. So you condition yourself. You psychologically condition yourself so that it becomes this sort of way out for you. And that's the danger of porn, and it's the danger of alcohol. It's the danger of any kind of these drugs, where you start to use it as an escape, and you condition yourself. So it's like Pavlov's dog. You ring the bell, and porn becomes that bell, or tobacco becomes that bell, or alcohol becomes that bell. When it rings, you salivate, and you condition yourself for that to kind of be your release and your escape. And that's the danger of it. But the thing is porn is not the cause. Porn is more the cause of, I'd say, men's own problems, their own emotional problems. But when it comes to relationships, and it comes to the breakdown of marriage, the breakdown of intimacy in the Western world, that's not porn's fault.
No, I agree 100%. It has nothing to do with porn. Nothing whatsoever.
No. I mean, I would say that problem, I would say porn is more a reaction to that problem for a lot of men, because the problem with sex is that it's such a strong biological drive that you find you can't ignore it. Like, you can't ignore the sex drive, but you can kind of control it, because you don't need this. You don't need to have sex to survive. You need to eat, you need to drink, you need to breathe, but you don't necessarily need to fuck to survive. So it's a biological drive that needs to be in control. We control our diets from time to time. People fast, people diet. There's different biological drives that we use, and we have to kind of master them. We got to kind of take them under control. And that, again, red pill, being a red pill, you got to learn how to master a lot of these things. But because it's a reaction.
Well, I mastered the 30-second porno clip when I was like 15 years old.
What is that?
I mastered, because if you remember 10-15 years ago, you couldn't stream porn, and you'd have to pay for it back in the day. So the only thing you'd be able to get was like a sample clip. So my cousin used to rip on me because he went onto my laptop when I was like in high school. He goes, "You're the master of the 30-second porno clip."
Yeah, now it's just abundant. It's everywhere.
Well, that's a bit strange. I find that to be a little bit weird. Now you have websites that are just search engines for porn. They become buffets. I call it buffet of porn. You can, what do you want? Oh, you want a donkey, big-titted transvestite doing anal. Okay, yep, that's available. Look, there's like 10 videos of that. And you can, you can download it for free. Now, again, 15 years ago, I'd say like, I don't know the time frame, but yeah, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, in order to get porn, you had to have a membership, you had to subscribe, and you had to pay. And now you can get the videos for free. And that, to me, that's a little bit strange how now it's actually being pumped out at us at no cost. When in fact there's production costs. You have to pay the women, you have to pay the guy, you have to set up the cameras. It's a lot of work involved. So for it to be so readily available for the masses is a little bit strange.
Well, they're still making money, man. I mean, they're still making money. They're making lots of money, huge amounts of money. If they weren't making that money, they wouldn't be making the videos.
No, you're right. Yeah, you would still have to get a subscription to get the good shit. But they send out a couple, half hour to an hour videos and throw them up on the free search engines for you to view.
They must be making a lot of money. I mean, I don't think making money off of porn will ever go out of style. But again, it can become it shouldn't become a distraction for men. Not because it's a danger to intimacy with the modern woman, not at all. But it's more just a danger to your own discipline, really, as a man.
Well, I see a lot of the porn, the newer porn stars and the videos that come out today. They're very devoid of any type of personality. Where I kind of remember the porn when I was growing up. You know, when I first started watching it, it was still like kind of like seemed like Joe Schmo, and they seem like they're getting along, and they're like there's some type of like connection, like they're friends. And then I see like it's now the new thing is glamour porn, and
Mhm.
these porn stars are just they're just there being there. They're
Yeah.
just you to gratify and satisfy yourself upon, and it's really shitty porn. I actually can't stand it. These glamour porn stars, they're really hot and everything, but they have this empty look, and they're just not like then they seem just like horrible people, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing I've noticed about porn is that porn is focused on the woman. The woman is the focus. I mean, psychologically, you kind of have to think about it because you have to admit that men are the number one target audience of pornography. They're not really targeting,
No.
right? I mean, they're not targeting women for porn sales. They're targeting men. And if you watch any porn, there's a basic format to it, and the woman is the focus. Everything is happening to her. The man is faceless. He has no personality. He has
Yes,
no
he's
face.
faceless.
He's faceless.
You never see the guy's face.
No, you never see his face. He's just a machine to pleasure the woman, and the focus is on the pleasure of the woman, right? And I think this is just my opinion, but I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing this rise in cuckoldery. Because I think that's the most dangerous part of porn to me, is because what it's doing is it's creating this psychological attachment, this emotional attachment for men, where where you're getting off by simply seeing the pleasure of the woman, and it has nothing to do with the man himself. Like there's very little for the man.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, man. Like and I think that's the most dangerous part of it because, and we're seeing a rise. If we are to believe social media today, and a lot of what's coming through it, there's a rise in this cuckoldery where men are there's this fetish of men watching their girlfriends getting fucked by other men. Because
Well, that goes back to a little thing about what me and my Cambodian missus. Is maybe did porn do that to me where I was able to not care so much about her going with other guys?
possibly, yeah, possibly.
You see, I never even made that type of connection.
Yeah, because and that's the one thing I've noticed is that you have to remember, like a lot of guys just watch porn to get off, just to beat one out, so they can get on with the day. You know what I mean? And what you're doing is that kind of a response, like the orgasm, is a huge fucking Pavlov bell. So whatever you're doing at the time of fucking ejaculation is a real what do you call it? It's a very strong conditioning factor. Okay, and so for a lot of men, what they're doing is, and with porn, like I said, when you look at it, the men are faceless. They're machines. They have no personality. They're not part of it. It's always focused on the woman and getting off. And what happens is men are relating this sexual release with the pleasure of women only. So there is no pleasure for the man. There's none. It's not a focus. And because pornography is so big, it's everywhere. We see it everywhere. It's so easily accessible. I think what's happening is we're seeing a generation of men kind of seeing sexual release all conditioned around the pleasure of the woman, and that's it. And that's why we're seeing a lot of cuckoldery coming apart, because it is voyeurism. I mean, all pornography is voyeurism,
Right.
It's just voyeurism. And so it's really, I don't know, I think it's dangerous. I think men have to be careful with it that way.
It depends if you start falling into the trap. I do know, and it's scientific fact. Like if you let's say you watch a porn, you're done jerking off, and then for whatever reason, 5 or 10 minutes later, you want to watch it again. But the again, you want to watch a different video,
Mm-hmm.
and and my brother goes, porn goes stale. He goes, you can't watch the same video all over again. I go, you know what? You're right. If I do, I get tired of certain videos, and I gotta if I do want to watch a certain video again, I have to watch it. Watch one from a while ago, or you keep it's a feed. You gotta. It's like chasing a high. You like one certain porn star, you want to see her do another video, then another video, so on and so forth. So I see that being a problem. That's why you see guys from Japan, they have huge porn collections. I mean, like libraries. Hideki Matsui, who is an outfielder and designated hitter of the New York Yankees, holds the record for having the biggest porn collection in the world.
Oh, I didn't know that. How big was it?
And do you know like an old school library where they have that ladder that swings around the room and to climb up the stairs, and he's got one of those in his house.
So it's measured by volumes, not by gigabytes. Is that what you're saying?
No, well, he collects it. I mean, in for whatever reason, Japan, they take porn to a whole new level. Hey, and take a look at their birth rate in Japan.
Gone.
I see a lot of correlation. I think America's problem with men and women is more similar to that of Japan than it is to Europe.
Yeah.
Our situation in America, white North Americans, is more similar to that of Japan, where Europe, it's more where the woman is trying to be an equal with the guy and dress in man's clothing. Women in America don't do that. Women in America still get their nails done. They still get their hair done. They still buy nice clothes and what have you, whereas the woman in Europe is wearing jeans and not wearing a bra. So there's a little bit of a difference between the American woman versus the European white woman. Now, American women are much more similar to the Japanese woman, where it's this breakfast at Tiffany's, Starbucks, and little Pomeranian dogs. Like, I'm such a woman, look at me, that no one can fuck my little white ass. And again, with the pornography, the guys are just completely shutting down, and because they have no sexual outlet. Mind you that the sexual outlet is whatever your sexual fantasy is. I mean, every guy has each to their own. If you have a foot fetish, if you like high heels, if you just like big fat fucking black chicks, whatever it might be, you don't have access to that anymore. There's no place for you to go to do that. Okay, so where do you turn? You turn to pornography.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of fetishes kind of are born out of this sort of focus on pornography. I mean, again, when you orgasm, for a man or a woman, I mean, you're creating this endorphin rush into your mind, right, into your body. I mean, it's like taking certain drugs, and you condition a behavior around that rush. If you're constantly jerking off to high heels, you're going to develop a fetish. It's kind of like forming an addiction around a certain drug, caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, whatever, or serious drugs. So, I mean, you have to take it as something as a consumption, and try to maintain a control over it to a certain degree.
Well, I also don't, since coming back to the States, my porn intake has gone, way up because I don't have access to women anymore. But I also know, it's still not the same. It still fucking sucks. I'd rather have a fucking, a warm meat hole next to me.
Of
you
course.
Know what I mean?
Of course.
But the other thing is a little off topic with the pornography is these porn stars, at least porn stars in general, these women have been traumatized growing up. I don't know if you know some of the background stories of some of these famous porn stars that we all love to jerk off to. They had traumatizing childhoods. I mean, it's really bad. I mean, these girls were abused, raped, yes. Pedophilic problems, addicted to drugs, and they've all had some serious scarring in their early childhood development that we tend to overlook. No white girl just decides I'm gonna be a porn star. It doesn't work that way. That's the last thing they want to fucking do is show their face getting railed at by some big fucking black cock. They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. And then if you look at the Japanese porn stars, these women are completely devoid. These women are robots. They don't do anything. There's no emotion. There's no connection. It's very scary. And you know, I don't want to say American porn stars are have higher morals, but the Japanese porn stars are getting gangbanged, bukkakied on by fucking thousands upon thousands of men. The American porn star girl is like, no, I'm only gonna fuck these two guys. I'm only gonna do shoots with these two guys, and that's it. I'm not doing anything else. You know, no, you will not stick it in my ass. No, you will not be doing X, Y, and Z to me.
Well,
So you see,
it
like an
depends on
American porn star girl's got like some type of, you know, a little bit of you know, I don't want to say she's better, but she's like, you know, she knows what she's doing is wrong. All right,
well,
and
you
she
know,
know, you know, here's another thing is with an American porn star, you never see them. There's no intimacy. You never get the porn star. American porn star is never actually turned on, and that's one thing that turns me off to pornography is that the girl, it's obvious she's acting and she's really shitty at acting. She doesn't want to be there. She's not looking at. She's not doing this. You know, you can't suck my tits. No, you will not be kissing me. It fucking sucks.
well, that's the feminist kind of gynocentric aspect of the Western culture because
Gynocentrism in porn.
oh, absolutely, because it's like, oh, they say to the woman, "What do you want? You have the anything you say you get."
She's
But
the star.
she's the star,
That
absolutely.
faceless guy is not the star.
No, and they make a lot of money. Women make a ton of money in porn. Men make nothing. But the thing is these women can. Whatever they do, it depends on how much they want to get paid, right? If they want to make more money, then they will stick two dicks in their asshole. It's that simple. Like, how badly do you want the money, really? That's what it comes down to a lot of these women. But you were saying about these American porn stars. I've seen interviews with them. I've watched interviews with some of these porn stars. I'm like, I wonder what this chick is like besides just watching.
In real life.
Yeah, like besides watching her get fucked. I want to see what she's like in real life. And so you watch the interview, they're like, a lot of them are like retarded. And I'm like,
well, so, some of them are like, I know I'm not going to mention my favorite porn star, but she seems like, I'm not going to do it. She's retired now. I think she's like in her 30s now. But I see her videos and stuff, and she just looks like a person that's like, I really don't want to be here. I mean, I'll put on the act or whatever, but this is the last thing I actually really want to do. It's like a shame, mortified. It's just a weird thing. It's, you know, and what I read a great interview. You can look up the interview of Jessie Summers, and she was a bombshell. She's been out of porn, and she read her life. She's now a born again Christian. I found Jesus, and I'm not a porn star anymore. You know, but anyway, she tells her whole life story and how she got into porn and where it led to her. And it was, you look it up, Jessie Summers. Porn and your interview, if you want to, Jessie Summers interview, porn star, and you read her whole story, how she was she lost her virginity to her stepfather, was thrown out of the house, caught herpes, drugs, the whole, you know, again, just a really shitty, you know, background.
Yeah, look, a young woman out of high school who has potential.
Yeah, I do porn.
You know,
I do it.
Yeah, who's got a loving family and a father. Number one, she's got a father who's still in her life. Keep that in mind, and who's quite bright and it has an opportunity for a career. They're not lining up to do porn, man. These women are fucking damaged goods. Like I said, I've watched interviews with some of these, and I'm like, are you retarded? Did she like? She doesn't look like she's got an extra chromosome, but she talks like she's got one. You know what I mean? It's fucking bizarre.
Porn is addictive. I use porn like aspirin medicine. I agree, man. Look, at the end of a day, listen, all you got to know, MGTOW guys out there, at the end of the day, it's great being single. The only time you're upset is right before you go to bed at night, all right? And that's where porn comes in to fill that satisfaction. And you go roll over and pass out.
Yeah,
Think about it. When you're single, the whole day is gravy. You have no one to answer to. You got no, what do you care? No one's blowing up your phone. Where are you? What are you doing? What are we eating tonight? Well, you know, none of that, right? I want to watch this on Netflix. I don't want to watch that. And guess what? All you need is your happy. The last 10 minutes before you go to sleep, you got your favorite porn star, right? Whoever that might be, and you roll over and pass out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agreed. Agreed. Absolutely, man.
Well, okay, now what's the difference? What is the difference if you're using your imagination? You're, let's say, whatever. You saw some girl bend down on the train. Okay, and her cleavage was popping out. She's wearing some tight, scandalous dress, and you go home and you spank one out to that versus porn. What's the difference?
Mm, mm. Well,
Can you tell me the difference? I'm curious what the difference is.
I don't know, man. But I mean,
Well, no, I'm curious. What's the difference of me jerking off to a girl that I fucked, a few months ago versus me watching a porno? What is really the difference?
well, are you talking about someone you know?
No, I'm just saying, what's the difference of me using my imagination versus watching a porn?
Oh. Well, to me, it all comes down to to the orgasm because that's the endorphin release, and that's what you're conditioning yourself to. That's what you're.
Well, I'm conditioning myself to jerk off to my imagination versus a TV screen.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah.
difference?
Well, the difference is that probably if you're constantly conditioning yourself to jerk off to an image, then it might be harder for you to get turned on without an image. You might condition yourself that way.
No, I can still to my imagination. I don't really, it's a little bit more work. I mean, I may take a couple more minutes or whatever.
Hmm.
I don't really. Again, I don't see pornography being that big of a problem. And mind you, these social conservatives, Jordan Peterson hates porn. I mean, the list of guys that are actually MGTOW and Red Pill that hate porn is astronomical. And what do you want to do? You want to take pornography away from us? How much more can the man take? You're going to take the one thing I have left. The one thing I got left, you're going to take that away from me too? These guys are nuts.
Yeah, I think most MGTOW are going to be pro porn. When you get into maybe some of the traditionalists and MRAs, they might be anti porn, but a lot of those guys are still hoping that their wives don't divorce them, kind of thing.
Well, all right. If you're fucking some, if let's say you're married for 5, 10 years, and it's to be, you're obviously fucking the same chick over and over. You got to introduce something, something different to it. You have to add, you have to spice it up. You got to figure out how to make this more interesting.
Mm.
Also, not having sex for a long period of time with your significant other and then going back to it later on, that seems to help out quick too. That helped me in my situation.
Mm.
You give it up for a bit, and then go reapproach it later on, and you'll see things a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. That you're talking about fasting, man. You can fast from all sorts of things. If you like to smoke ganja, you can fast from that for a while. Take a step back. If you like to watch porn, you can fast from that for a while. Take a step back. I mean, right now, I myself am off alcohol. Take a step back. I take a step back from alcohol for a while, and then approach it again later on with a different way of looking at it. That kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
a good way of
it's
doing
good
it.
practice. Yeah, it's good practice in life, just to constantly keep your what do you call them? Keep your passions, your desires in check. Because we're human
Well,
beings,
one of the
man. We
guys was talking
consume.
about. Well,
Go ahead.
one of the guys in the chat was saying the same thing about the new porn stars. I agree. The new porn stars, I don't know what it is. It just seems really devoid of anything. These again, this glamour porn, these they look like Barbie dolls. They're ugly. They're terrible. I really don't like it. I have to go back, again 10 years to get like watch a decent flick. And a lot of the women, the new porn stars, are very unattractive. They for whatever reason they can't get like hot women anymore to do pornography.
Well, um have you seen some of the memes or the pages where they have porn stars without their makeup on and with and without their makeup?
Oh well, that's any dude, any woman without makeup. You're gonna be into a rude awakening.
Yeah, but I mean, when it's a porn star, because their entire image is always on in front of a camera with fucking 3 inches of makeup. Some of these women, when their makeup is off, they're fucking horrible, man.
Yeah. 'Cause, hey, look at it like this. If the bitch is really that fucking hot, she ain't gonna be doing no fucking porno. Nor will she be stripping, nor will she be hooking.
No, no. They-
She doesn't need. Have you ever seen a hot stripper? No. That's
no.
it. This is not happening. Yeah, they're all busted. They're all single moms. They're all frumpy, or they're from Eastern European countries or Russia. And, we dance, we go, good time. Yes, yes. You buy me drink, one drink, no problem. No, bitch, get the fuck away from me.
And hookers are the same all over the world too, man, and strippers, even in fucking
I see
Indonesia.
the difference between strippers and prostitutes. There's
Yeah,
a big difference between the
yeah.
two.
Strippers is what I
Yeah.
meant to say. Strippers.
How would you feel if would you have any sisters?
No, I don't have any sisters. I have 3 brothers.
All right. I wanted it because it's funny though. I'll tell you something that happened to me last night. I actually went to a titty bar last night. My first time going to a titty bar in about 6 years,
Mm.
and I went. I went because my friend's sister happens to be a bartender there. And I went there. We got comped. It was really cool and everything. And I went there, and these girls actually seemed pretty cool. They seemed like they just wanted to talk and hang out. I thought it was a really strange experience because everything I thought about what a strip bar or titty bar is, it wasn't that. It turned out to be an actual pretty good experience.
Mm. I've had women take me to strip bars.
That's
And,
weird.
and recommend it. They're like, hey, what do you want to do tonight? I don't know. Oh, I'm gonna take you to the strip bar. So I think it might have just been a way for them to maybe say, okay, I want to get this guy worked up so I can fuck him.
They're shit testing you.
Okay, armchair, yeah, or shit testing. Armchair Revolutionary wants to come into the chat. Look, I don't want to bring someone in halfway through that I haven't discussed with before, but Armchair Revolutionary, send me a message on Google Hangouts. So I got your contact information, and we can set something up for next time if you want. But not I don't want to just start bringing people in halfway through that I haven't talked with. But definitely, if anybody's interested in talking, just send me a message, and I'll try to get through to you on Google Hangouts. And
He's got to pass a litmus test.
yeah. I want
Do you or do you not believe in Zionism? And do you think the Jews are controlling the world and trying to kill us?
Is that your litmus test?
as most MGTOW think. That's the other thing. I know we're getting off topic a little bit,
That's
but
okay.
I'm getting into a lot of fights with other Americans about the whole the Jews controlling the world concept. I think a lot of MGTOW guys, especially from other parts of America, have in fact never even met a Jew. And if you haven't really met a Jew in your life and you think they're controlling the world, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. You know what the fuck you're talking about. So if you haven't met a group of people, that's like saying Muslims, they're invading our homeland. They're going to take a jab in you. Okay, have you met a Muslim from Saudi Arabia? No. Okay, so shut the fuck up.
No. It's funny because when you even just say the word Jew, it has so much connotation to it. It's a religion. It's a race. It's a history. It's a country. I mean, it's so many different things. When you just say Jews control the world, it really doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't make
No,
any
it makes
sense
no sense to me. I really don't understand it. And that's another thing that is ruining a lot of the MGTOW movement is that there's a whole appendage of that connotation that's attached to it, and it seems to be veering off into a very stupid
Well, I don't,
conversation.
I've actually, in my experience of MGTOW, I have not really seen a lot of MGTOW at all that have expressed that opinion. But I'm not saying, I'm sure it does exist. However,
It is huge.
is it? Okay, because I've never seen it myself within the circles that I was in. I never really saw it. But if somebody believes that and has an opinion on it, I mean, I'll discuss it with them. But I mean, like, if okay, it's possible that some of the people who quote unquote rule the world call themselves Jews. But to say that Jews rule the world is really a misnomer, man. I mean, you can't. It doesn't. It has no meaning. There's no meaning behind that.
Well, what do you mean by ruling? What does that mean, ruling the world? I guess
Exactly.
who are the most wealthy? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. That's my whole point. It's like if we're to break it down, who has the most authority, uh, politically, economically, socially in the world? Who are these people?
well, it would be them.
Yeah, who are the people? Where do they come from? I mean, how do you define it? How do you define, like you said, how do you define this control? Is it these corporations? I mean, in the United States, what is it? 6 major corporations run every fucking thing.
Yeah, and not that most CEOs are not
Yeah,
Jews.
but is it the CEOs that of these companies that we can call the people that are running the show, or is it someone behind the scenes? I mean, that's what I
Well,
mean. When
someone simply telling CEOs to push. I was at the mall today. All right, I had to go shopping. I actually mentioned it to you earlier that I went shopping to offset my broken heart and not getting no happy happy. So to offset my no getting happy happy, I started spending a lot of money. But
yeah,
anyway, I went shopping in the mall today, and I went to all the little boutique stores. And I'm looking for, getting ready for the fall and all that type of bullshit. And half the stores, the people behind the counters are either faggots or lesbians. What the hell is that? What's up with that? Who told that? Where? Who made this call to hire this lesbian to service me? Why? Why? So there's obviously someone above her, above the store manager, that said you gotta hire only lesbians and so on and so forth. And who's above that person? And it keeps going up and up and up. It's a pyramid. So
yeah.
obviously there is someone at the very top pushing some type of fucked up agenda on the people.
New York, that was the city, right? Somebody asked what city, and I said it's New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York.
Yeah.
And
Another thing.
New York is much more conservative versus the West Coast, mind you. I
Yeah.
don't even know what goes on in California, but from what people from California tell me is that New Yorkers are really conservative. I'm like, oh, all right. I don't really know. I mean, we always vote Democrat, and we're pretty, we're pretty diverse in our colors of people. But I again, I went shopping, and dude, it was just nothing but gays and lesbians that were working at the stores. It wasn't like that before I moved away to Cambodia. Well, when
Mm.
I was still here in 2011, it was still pretty, it was just regular people. Now you have androgynous creeps that
Oh
are
yeah.
now hired, and they're the ones working. And mind you, they're not having kids. They're not getting married. They're minimalist. Okay, so obviously corporations love these people because you don't have to pay them as much.
Well, it's. I had a similar experience too, man, because I was gone 13 years. The year before I left, I was playing in bands. I was working in a bar as a bartender for my cousin. She had a metal bar. I was standing behind the bar serving drinks. I was playing music in the bar on the weekends. Um, Metal music live every weekend. I disappear for 13 years. I come back. I go into a bar, and it's a bunch of fucking lesbian women painting pictures on a Wednesday night. Like, what the fuck happened, man?
You're
And
fucking creeps.
and and the guy and some kind of weird bearded freak behind the bar serving drinks who by the end of the night refused to serve me because I said something he thought was mean about women. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck? What happened? Things changed, man, in the decade that I was gone.
It's very strange. I'm it's to me, as my mother would say, it's disturbing. I find it to be very disturbing. This this uh this this movement of not defining what the sexes are. And I do think that the lesbian shit, that's look, their minds are weak. That's what I boil it down to. If you're that weak that you can't see you're being mind controlled by people that aren't even in your life, that are in your life, and you're being mind controlled via proxy through media and whatever else you're exposed to, you are a weak link in society.
Yeah, yeah. Really, yeah. I mean, again, the whole philosophy behind Red Pill is to fucking have an independent mind. You have to unplug from the media, from the masses, because that's just going to lead you down the wrong fucking path, man.
Well, I keep yelling at my friend, man. He keeps playing rap music over and over and over again, and I just go berserk on him when he puts it on. I go, turn this fucking garbage off now.
Yeah.
And I go, you are getting dumber by the moment listening to this shit, this trash. I just.
Hey, I want to.
What's that? Oh, here's another thing. You know that Chainsmokers song? It goes. All I know is the one lyric. We ain't ever getting older. The tattoo on your shoulder. You know that song?
No, fuck. I don't listen to music, popular music anymore, man.
It's a very popular song with people in their 20s. And the lyric that sticks out in my mind is the tattoo on my shoulder, we ain't ever getting older. And every time I hear that lyric, I blurt out in public, I say, yeah, you fucking are getting older. You
Yeah.
are going to fucking die someday. You are not going to be 25 for fucking ever.
No. Yeah. Hey, I just want to. I want to go through some of the chat in the chat room. Okay, Armchair Revolutionary, if you're still listening, maybe we did speak before. I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to my channel as I used to, so we might have. But just I'll try and send you a message through Google Hangouts or send one to me, and we can set up a time to get to know each other again if we did talk before. Also, someone mentioned Paul. What happened to Paul Proteus? Good point. Paul Proteus is still around, and I haven't talked to him since I was in Indonesia, and I believe he's still in Calgary, so he's only a couple hours north of me. I will try to contact him again and maybe get him on here too, because Paul Proteus is great. What else do we have in here I wanted to talk? Someone dropped in said something. Oh, they're talking about Jews. It's that kind of chat? No, we're not talking about Jews. Not at all.
Yeah. No, not happening. We're not going to do it. I'm sick of that beating that dead horse.
No.
It's Israel. USS Liberty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big yeah. It's a bad hole to go down. Someone says too many racists. MGTOW. I don't know, man. You know,
yeah, he's right. Totally right. 100%.
I don't know, man.
He's miserable white guy. Mad at everybody.
See, because I never, when I was at the peak of my channel about 2-3 years ago, I never saw that. So maybe a lot of things have changed in the YouTube MGTOW community from when I was a bigger part of it, because I didn't see it a lot. The most of the racism that I saw in MGTOW during those days was when it started to become bigger in the black community. And the blacks started to create their own MGTOW because they thought they were different than the rest of the white MGTOW. And I thought that was kind of racist. I'm like, dude, it's about men. It's not about race, black or white. But I did see that happen.
Well, I'm very critical. I know I don't mention it to MGTOW expat because he would probably disagree with me. But I'm very critical of MGTOW. I've written extensively what MGTOW is, its flaws, its shortcomings. A lot of the MGTOW channels that I happen to follow promote a very antisocial behavior towards the world at large that I disagree with, where pump and dump chicks. It's about you and only you, and in order to survive in the world, you have to, take no prisoners. And I'm like, no, like like David Backman, American Psycho. You know the intro to the movie American Psycho.
Yeah, I know the movie, the intro. I'm not.
Yeah, it's a little bit like kind of like that introduction to that movie where it's kind of like this again a penile version of feminism. That's what it is. I see a lot of MGTOW it's just a reflection of feminism, that you're just reflecting what you hate. You're doing exactly what you hate back to women. The only difference is women are looking at you like and not giving a shit. While I mean, you're the one that cares. Women don't care. You're the one that cares. And that's where MGTOW completely falls apart, is that women don't give a fuck about MGTOW.
Well,
Okay, they don't
see.
care.
I would agree with you, but I think what you're talking about isn't really MGTOW. I mean, you're going down, you're barking up a different tree, because my experience in MGTOW, which has been, you know, getting on almost a decade, and when I was kind of in the movement of it, kind of growing on YouTube, there was no. It wasn't about pump and dump. It wasn't about hating women. Really, what it was a retreat into self-improvement as an individual and as a male, because as a man, you have society and nature have dumped a lot of responsibilities on you, and how you deal with them in your own personal life, a lot of the time is neglected. Men tend to neglect themselves and focus more on career, family members, wives, girlfriends, etc., but never on themselves.
Themselves, yeah.
Yeah, never. I mean, we're raised not only socially but biologically as well, and it all has to do with survival, where man has to put himself last. We don't need to do that anymore as men. I mean, we're not living in caves anymore. We don't need to save the tribe from.
All right. I agree with. Wait. Now, let me interrupt here, and I agree with you. But the problem is with that mentality is where you start to retreat, which I agree with you 100%. I am in full blown retreat myself. I mean, it's Saturday night, and look what we're doing. We're doing a hangout here on Google Hangout, YouTube, or whatever. But when you keep retreating further and further and further, couple things happen. One is that's like your neighbor's house is on fire and you're ignoring that fire, and eventually your house is going to catch fire because you're not intervening and putting out that fire next door. Where each is to his own. Do what you want, man. Look, if you want to do it, why not do it on the road? Look, if you want to be a lesbian, go ahead. I have nothing to say about that. In that type of mentality, where it's again a very liberal, do what you want, and where you keep retreating and not really care about what's going on around you, eventually the fire is going to come and hit your house. And you're going to be like, well, what the hell just happened? And now I got to put out the fires because I've been asleep at the wheel this entire time.
Well, that really comes down to the individual, because you don't need to retreat in order to improve yourself. Men can have friends, and this is another thing I've noticed is, and especially nowadays, like I told you, I'm helping this guy manage that store, and I see a lot of young men coming in with women, and the women is like pulling 3 or 4 of these guys along with her, and I'm thinking to myself, you really need to kind of focus on your male friends. Stop salivating over this chick that's leading you around. And that's another thing. It's just because a man wants to improve himself, which means taking himself away from sort of the gynocentric aspect of our world, where men are disposable. Hey, I don't want to be disposable anymore. I want to focus on myself now. I don't want to say women and children first anymore. I'm done with that. I'm getting off the boat. Okay, you guys can fight over who gets the lifeboat. Right. I'm not even getting on the fucking ship, right? And
that's smart.
And so men in that regard, they can make friends with other men and have very solid and wonderful relationships with other men. Very strong friendships. And that's where I think men need to kind of start focusing more. And I honestly believe it used to be more like that in the past. But we've grown more and more and more gynocentric, and a lot of it has to do with they are exploiting the weaknesses of both men and women, and basically taking the sort of weaknesses of women and putting it in the forefront. And men are falling behind in that aspect, and it's reflecting in the laws, it's reflecting in the court systems, in the media, etc., etc. So really, what MGTOW is I'm not getting on the boat anymore. You can fight over women and children, which one goes first, but I'm not a part of that game, right? You don't need to. That doesn't mean you have to retreat into some kind of self-loathing or loathing of the world around you. You don't need to. There's a lot of satisfaction to be had in just uh, your own interests.
Well, the Philip Wells just made a really good comment. I've been ghosting for 6 or 7 years. I'm assuming what he means by ghosting is completely being not talking to anybody. Again, ghosting, you're seen but not seen in society. And again, that to me, that's a very frightening concept because it reminds me a lot of New York City, where I can walk around the streets in New York City, no one ever looks at me. People would bump right into me as if I'm not there. It to me that is um, a very devoid, a very I don't want to say lonely, but you feel very alone. You feel very isolated. You're very atomized, where you can be. Again, I'm working in an office full of about 15, 20 people. No one knows anything about me.
Mm-hmm.
Not a thing. I understand that's the working environment or whatever, but what if I die?
Mm-hmm.
These people don't know anything about me. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know where I'm from, where I was born, if I have any relatives. My one of my best friends. You guys can by all means look him up. The Brooklyn Monk. He was a floor trader in Manhattan during 9/11, and he had a serious reality wake up call the following day after 9/11 when he went back to work and he started making phone calls and he realized, oh wait a second, I'm calling people that died on 9/11. I spoke to these people every single day. I don't know anything about them. I don't know who these people are. And it really scared him as an individual. Like, wow, I work with these people, yet I know nothing about them and they're dead. And that kind of moved him to becoming an expat and living in China and Burma. But, when you're ghosting, again, it's a very isolated, very, very atomized individual, which I think the ruling class, the people that control the world, want.
Well, that's actually a good point because a lot of people argue that MGTOW and a lot of naysayers of MGTOW say that it is a controlled movement. The elite want men to do this, and the thing is that again, it's not my job as an individual man to save the world or to try to stop the overrulers of their ultimate manifest destiny. It's not my job. Um, I need. I want to be happy in my own personal life. I want to be good to the people around me that matter to me. And when people ghost, it doesn't necessarily mean they ghost completely from society altogether, but it really means ghosting from a position of being manipulated on a gynocentric level. And which means that you kind of distance yourself from. This is where they'll distance themselves from relationships with women to a certain degree. Like um, I myself, I have women. I know women that are like friends of mine that I've known for years and years. Um, I don't seek them out for their company, but if it ever came down to a coffee, I would have one with them, and I'd talk and laugh and joke. It'd be fine. I
Okay,
don't.
but all right, now wait a second. Wait. Let's pull back a second. Who's asking for the coffee? Do they reach out to you for the coffee, or are you the one always
I wouldn't.
asking for people to hang out with you?
I wouldn't reach out to them. No. If I bumped into them on the street, and I have seen them, just on the street, and we start talking, and hey, and then they'll say, "Do you want to go for a coffee?" Yeah, sure, sure. It hasn't happened yet. I mean, I've never made any commitments with them, but I've run into them, and it's come up. Hey, do you want to maybe socialize one day? Yeah, sure, maybe, but it just hasn't happened because I'm not pushing for it to happen. If it happens, it happens. Right?
See, so that's the point I'm trying to make. Is that I'm the same way as you, man.
Yeah.
I've never had a Facebook, never had a Twitter, never had Instagram, never had any of that. While I was away in Cambodia, I simply put it to people: if you care about me, if you wish to reach out to me, I have an email. By all means, email me, and I'll respond to you, and we can take it from there. Sadly to say, 90% of the people never bothered emailing me.
Mhm.
Okay, so why am I going to be the one keep chasing for people's contact,
Yeah.
for reaching out. Why should I be the one? If you want to see me, if you give a flying fuck about me, you can reach out to me. I'm
Yeah.
tired of being the one reaching out to you because obviously I'm nothing to you. So
Yeah.
that's why some aspects of ghosting I agree with.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, someone and then EO 100 just said the isolated man cannot produce any more than a man in chains. Noam Chomsky, and it's true. I mean, no man, no
True.
human is an island, right? No, you can't.
Did you hear me? I slipped that in there real quick.
What's that?
I said, "What's Norm Chomsky?"
He's a Jew.
Yeah, Juden. No, I'm just dicking around. Here's a little bit of change. We're still on MGTOW and stuff. What's your take on MGTOW and minimalism? What do you think of that?
I think minimalism is just good all around anyway. I mean, you don't. A lot of
Like, what do you mean by
people.
What is it? What is it? What is minimalism though? What is it like?
I think it comes down to like just consumption. Minimize your consumption. Minimize um, your needs or your wants. I guess I should say. Minimize your wants. Minimize your consumption.
See, now
Um,
I take a different approach with that, and I think that's another part. I really do believe that minimalism and the whole MGTOW movement is also social control, where they want guys not wanting things, they want guys not to make a lot of money, they want guys not procreating, they want guys living in little cubicles, little micro apartments. So I disagree with the minimalism aspect to it because I see a lot of social engineering behind that part of it.
well, I kind of tend to be a bit of a you could call me a pessimist, but I would consider a realist more so. And I think everybody's crying that the new world order is coming, 1984, it's coming true. I think it's already come true. It's already come to pass. We're fucking neck deep in it, and there's no going back. It's fucking over. It's the end game. So live your life, be happy,
Well,
and fucking move on.
well, the thing, maybe with me is that I don't see- my grandparents and my relatives, they all had really nice shit
Yeah.
when I was growing up. So there was jet skis, fishing boats, in-ground swimming pool, on the water, cool cars, and when I was young, seeing all that, all I wanted was that. I go, I want what you got. Whatever you have, this is really cool. So when I see people around me, or when you grow up in a little bit more affluent society, upper, I don't want to say Long Island is a little bit skewed with money. So everyone's got this gargantuan house with, like, a BMW 7 Series and stuff. So when I see that around me, and then I see guys that want to live in, where the bed comes out of the wall, in a micro apartment, I think you're a fucking bitch. And I go, this is no. How are you gonna get fucking laid with a bed that comes out of the wall? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so I'm a minimalist. I don't need this. All I got is my backpack, and I'm slim.
Well,
No, that's kind of lame. I mean,
well,
if you have a big bank account and then you're doing it too, I get it. And also, if you're just not working, I mean, if you're retired, or you don't really need those type of things. I have friends that are like that. That's cool. You know what I mean? But to 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 tell yourself it's okay not having nice shit, I think is a cop out,
yeah,
and it's a self defeating behavior.
that's not a minimalist. I mean, obviously, to be a minimalist, you have to have the option, right? I mean, if you're impoverished, you can't be a minimalist.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I feel you.
If you're impoverished, you can't be a minimalist. To be a minimalist, you have to have that choice. Like, I could buy a second car, but maybe I'm just good with one. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, if you're also impoverished, I'm gonna start hoarding everything because I don't know. Maybe I can use that broken generator another day or
yeah,
something.
that's true. Yeah, that's right, man.
I'll be a junk hoarder.
Uh,
So I see
yeah,
a lot. Like I said, I wrote about minimalism. I'll share the art, my writing with you. But I see the whole minimalist MGTOW movement as social engineering, as saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't need to get laid. all women do is care about money. So why should I show off that I have X, Y, and Z? You know, it just seems there's a negative connotation with that, and I don't agree. I think that's again there's manipulation. I think there's social control with that underpinning in MGTOW.
Okay, I actually, I'd have to agree with you. I think a lot of that social control is a big thing, and it. I understand that socially, on a big scale, we're being manipulated. I mean, all you have to do is turn on the television, man.
I know.
See that? I mean, you have to be an idiot not to see that. I mean, what it comes down to, though, for me, is like, what control do I have over it? Like, what can I do about it? And in the end, I just see personal happiness and contentment is all I can do.
I'll be
There's not.
content if I'm getting laid, but I'm not getting laid.
Well, I'm not getting laid either, man.
This is
Not getting
depression. All right, so wait. So a change of topic. I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about now coming back to America and the working environment. I had a talk with MGTOW expat earlier in the week. I almost had a nervous breakdown at work because how complicated life has become just living. And when I was in Cambodia, I didn't have my life was very uncomplicated. I
Mm.
didn't have to do so many things that I have to do now, whether it be at work or just outside of work within my own personal life. And I'm wondering, are people supposed to be programmed to remember so much on their job, so much in their personal life, whether it be if you missed a bill that you forgot to pay a credit card bill, or you missed your car inspection sticker, or now you have to go to the DMV, or you have to pay your cell phone bill, your cell phone broke, you have to go get your cell phone fixed. What am I going to cook for dinner? I got to pay this, I got to do that, and the rat wheel has become it just has become bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, in my line of work, I'm dealing with 700 different types of people, 700 people, and I got to make sure these 700 people are happy, and then I'm thinking about, okay, some of these people might just not like me. And what if these people just start complaining about me, whether even if I didn't do anything wrong? Then I have to remember other things at work that are very complicated, and it becomes more and more and more. And if I forget something, or if I ask the wrong question to my employer, well, are they going to view me as incompetent because I'm asking that question? What if I complain? What if I start to gripe a little bit about, I had a bad day or something? Will they view that as being incompetent, or I'm not fit for the job? And that goes back to the El Faro, as we were talking about earlier a little bit.
Mm. Um, well, I would have to agree with you that nowadays there's a hell of a lot more red tape when it comes to just day-to-day life. I mean, I find it here too. Like when I was in Indonesia, it just seems there was fewer hoops I had to jump through on a day-to-day basis. In order to make it to my head laying on the pillow. But here, yeah, it's a lot more complicated. And
So when life is that much more complicated, when you have a second to yourself, do you actually want to go out and meet somebody? Do you want to talk to somebody? Because even that becomes a job in itself. You see what I'm saying?
well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think most people do. And honestly, I think the state of the economy, a lot of people can't afford it. But it depends, I think, too, on your age and your condition. I mean, I'm 43, man. I don't, and I have a kid. I don't really. It's not really high on my priority to go out and socialize that much.
No, well, as you get older, that tends to wane as you get older. That's something you do in your 20s. When you
Yeah,
get into your 30s, you don't really give a fuck about meeting people or whatever.
yeah. It's not really a thing anymore, because again, that becomes complicated. I mean, it starts. You go through a complicated day, and then you spend the weekend and the evening making it more complicated by mingling.
Right. But the point I was trying to make is that I now coming back to America, it just I don't think people are meant to live this way. That even the person that's a low IQ, impoverished individual, even he has to be in the rat wheel at some degree. Where versus Cambodia, there is no rat wheel.
Yeah.
There is no rat wheel. And just to see the two differences with the two different cultures and societies and countries, that where I'm looking at Cambodia as the salvation, and I see America as the place I don't want to be. That's pretty depressing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I think a lot the same way. And when you were in Cambodia, were you living in what was the population in the immediate area? Was it a large city, small
Yeah,
town?
no, it's a city. It's like over 2 million where I was.
Okay, so big city. Because I mean, if I think about back in Indonesia, Jakarta's fucking 15 million people.
Yeah, that's
It's
massive.
it's a rat wheel, man. It's a rat wheel in a paradise. You get out of that city, um, and you get over to kind of small island life, completely different. I mean, there is no.
It's funny you say that though. As you can see, with in today's world, globalization, is that the money has been steered into the cities, and what we're trying to do now, whether it's I think it's driven by people with a lot of power, is they're trying to hoard people into city centers. And more, I think Tokyo accounts for I think like 40% of Japan's population, and Seoul counts for I think like 60% of South Korea's population, and
Mm,
that's now happening in the West, where you got to go live in New York City. New York City's where the money. Got to go chase that money. Go live in New York City, and what New York City has done, it again brings on the atomization of the individual, where there's a lack of community. There's a lot of transplants that are located in New York City, immigrants from all across the world living in Manhattan, and you're living. You have to live some form of minimalist lifestyle, because you're definitely not going to be living at the top of the Empire State Building. With hordes of women, you're going to be living in a small
in the
rental apartment, getting hammered
in the
over the
barrio.
head in rent. Well, even those are all gentrified. So, what happens within New York City, and I see this now on dating apps, is that people have stayed there too long, and they're into especially women that are in their 30s, they never found a mate. They never got married. Now you're 35, 36, and you've missed the boat, because, as I like to call Manhattan, I call it, I think I mentioned it on your show before, it's elegant extinction. It's, again, this breakfast at Tiffany's. It's look at the designer sunglasses, my Michael Kors bag. I'm looking good. I'm sterile and transient. That's what you are, and a lot of these women don't see it until it's too late. So what the Manhattan has done is, you look great, you look fantastic, but you have nothing, you have no body, you have no community, you have no sense of being.
Mm. Yeah, true. I mean, those tend to be characteristics of high density in a city. But when you're talking about the women, though, I mean, I think the women flock there for the what did you call it, the
The
cosmo.
lifestyle, the
Yeah,
dream. I call it the dream, the cosmopolitan lifestyle.
yeah.
I'm doing it. I've made it. I made it to the big city. It's so funny to me. It's so funny to me, because the town I grew up in is about 20 minutes outside of New York City, and it happens to be a city on the beach. And there's a long boardwalk, and there's a lot of apartment buildings on the boardwalk overlooking the ocean. It's very nice. And I'm looking on these dating websites. It's a town called Long Beach, and I see on these dating websites, they go, yeah, I just moved to Long Beach. I'm new to Long Beach. I go, who the fuck cares? What's so fucking great about Long Beach? I lived there. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Long Beach. Okay, what about it? Well, it's on the water, it's the beach, and and Starbucks. I'm like, yeah. When I grew up there, it was a fucking shithole. I had bullet holes in my window. Like it wasn't like a nice place. And
Yeah.
it's look at me. I've made it to so and so. I'm now. That's like me bragging about me living in some suburb. Yeah, I'm new to blah blah blah. Okay, and your point is, it's like it's like being a Yankee fan and wearing a Yankee hat. I'm a Yankee fan. I don't wear the Yankee hat. I don't really care. I don't have to show off that I'm a Yankee fan. You see what I'm trying to say? That it doesn't really make sense that you're bragging about you living in New York City. Okay, so does 7 million other people. So you're not that. I get if you're from Weaseltown, Ohio. I understand that, but it's not. You don't wear it as a badge of honor. Like I don't, I don't want Cambodia to define me. I'll talk about it with you and stuff, and I'll maybe mention in passing to people here and there. But I'm not gonna. Yeah, I lived in Cambodia. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not gonna keep saying that over and over and over to everyone I meet because it kind of gets stupid and pointless, and I don't live there anymore. So there's really not much of a point in me talking about it.
Yeah, right. Well, a lot of that cosmopolitan sort of concept when you mentioned about women missing the boat, I think a lot of women are kind of, and again here, this is again playing on women's weaknesses. Women are weak in their vanity, and playing on their weakness, saying they're convinced. Women are convinced now that there is no boat to miss. Okay, and it's a pretty impressive move that's happened
Oh,
because
they can keep telling themselves that, but they know the truth, man. They'll do anything to hide up the fact that they know you fucked up, and you fucked up. And what I see with women in their 30s is like, I like football. No, you don't. You don't like football. Stop.
they
Right?
don't like
I
football.
like whatever you like. Please give me attention. Can you please
Yeah,
pay attention to me? Like, no, I'm not paying attention. You blew it. You blew it.
yeah.
It's over. And now, mind you, and this is something that I'm the only person to mention this. I'm the only person to talk about this. Is that these women in their late 30s and 40s that aren't married and don't have kids, you know what's going to happen? They're not going to take responsibility. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to blame men
Of course,
for it.
of course they will. But this is the thing, man. I've seen women come into the store that, and I've had them. Like for example, a woman comes in with a baseball cap on, Toronto Blue Jays, right? Canadian team comes in with this Toronto Blue Jays cap on, pretty young thing, and I say to her, who's your favorite player?"
Right.
And just
You don't like baseball.
watch the
Women
comedy
hate
ensue.
sports.
But they try to answer legitimately, like
But
like they do
feel,
care.
but this is where I feel I have a little bit of heart towards women. You're beating up on her when she's trying to fit in. She's trying to get into a man's world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, she's making an effort. She wants someone to talk to her, right? I mean, you can't really give her a hard time.
I gave her a
You,
hard
see- you
time.
see what I'm saying? I know you did, and she probably felt horrible afterwards. But guess what? That's when you make a move. After you make her feel bad, you're like, I'm sorry, I'm just
Well,
breaking your chop. What's your name and everything?
absolutely, absolutely, I understand that. I mean, giving her a hard time for one reason alone, I can, and that I know that she would in a heartbeat give me a hard time. But you're right. Give her a hard time, and then turn around and come back, and then make friends. Obviously, like I'm not
I
a
just
complete asshole.
I well, do you know about the behavioral sync? Do you know what that is?
I'm not familiar with the
Does
term.
it
No,
sound familiar?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, guys, please, everyone out there listening, the behavioral sync. You can Google it. It's going to come right up. It's a social experiment with rats. And it was the experiment of if you hoard rats and mice into a utopia where there's no predators and they have an abundance amount of food, what happens to them? And sure enough, what had happened is it seems to me it's happening in urban centers
Hmm.
today is It's what happens with people. It's there's no threats. There's an abundance amount of food, and what happens? The
Yeah. The Calhoun mice
female
utopia.
rats, mice utopia. The mice utopia. The females stop procreating,
Yeah.
and they all right. They start. I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't want to ramble on and not know what I'm talking about. But the mice utopia is in fact happening to urban centers, where again that the female rat has all these men, right? They're all chasing all the male rats are chasing the females. The female rat is only screwing the alpha, the brute, the not so nice rat, and the other male rats go MGTOW. And all they do is care about themselves. All they do is groom, eat, and become isolated.
Hmm. Yeah. Once
So
you have that,
I see that with
yeah, when you have a condition like that, it's the Western world is becoming extinct. We're not reproducing anymore. That's it. We're not reproducing enough. The only people that are reproducing,
ones.
the only people that are reproducing are the Muslims and the Mormons. That's it. Nobody else is reproducing them.
The Hispanics.
Yeah, Hispanics and the Indians. The Indians.
So pretty much everyone but white people.
Yeah, everybody but white people is fucking having babies. It's the end, man.
Right, and again, and we're the beautiful ones. We're the ones in Cosmopolitan magazine. We're the Tommy Hilfiger models. Okay, we're the gorgeous ones. Okay, I got my designer jeans. I got my beautiful Audi. Okay, but I don't have children. Okay, and my textiles are now funding the brown people they're reproducing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hey, social engineering. It might have all been by design. There might be a purpose and a drive behind it.
Well, is it designed, or is this where we are? Is this called being peaking at a civilization? That's where I kind of get confused. Is it really social engineering? Is this something playing out from the past half of century? I mean, I view globalization as the lifespan of a man. If you look at the fall of the Soviet Union, from the time the Soviet Union arose in whatever 1917 to the time it collapsed in 1991, that was the lifespan of a man. And I think with globalization, we're at the end span of globalization, where I think we may come out of this with having walls and borders all over again.
Could be. Could be. I mean, it can't. I don't believe that it's all completely just a natural process. I mean, the world is governed by men with minds. We manipulate, we conspire, we push to make things change. So, yeah, I think there definitely is an outside influence, a drive to make these things happen, especially if there's a fucking reward at the end for certain people. But again,
what's that money?
Well, money, power, pride, whatever, the things that fucking get your rocks off.
Well, I also think capital. I am a capitalist. I mean, I'm more of a libertarian than I am, any other form of on the political spectrum with economics. But I think capitalism is also now beginning to cannibalize itself. Where I think I was talking to you. I don't know whether it was on the live chat or if it was in private. Where building homes now, the walls are very weak and we don't build structures like we used to. I mean, if the world was to end today, what today from the modern world would exist? Can you tell me?
Not much.
Nothing.
Maybe some bronze statue.
It's going to be a bronze statue. The pyramids, the Great Wall of China. Mount Rushmore wouldn't last too long with rain and with erosion and stuff. So what is it? What's so great about the world we're living in today? We're not building anything to last. Our homes are not built to last anymore like they were not even that long ago, 50, 60 years. So again, I see this as capitalism is cannibalizing itself. Even our clothing, our shoes, our automobiles, nothing. It's planned obsolescence, and it's a major, major flaw in capitalism. Where I think we're seeing an end to that, where we don't. Everything goes down to the bottom dollar, and with capitalism, it's a race to the bottom. It's always a race to the bottom. What's the cheapest? Okay, how much am I going to pay you? Because if it was up to me, I would have you as a slave, right? I don't really give a fuck about your family. I don't really care that you have this debt to pay. I don't care that your mother's sick. I want to pay you as little as possible, and I don't really give a shit about your personal problems and what you're trying to do. And that's a major flaw in capitalism. And what we tend to forget is that the unions and the man of the house and things that were around during the 20th century is that it was kind of like an unspoken bond. Like, okay, he's got a family to support. I gotta pay him regardless. I'm gonna throw him a bone, and I'll take the $5,000 pay cut so he can go and support his family or whatever it might be. And
Altruism.
I know a lot of libertarians. Excuse me, like sup of water.
It's okay.
I know a lot of libertarians hate unions. They hate unions. Well, hold on. Let's pause for a second. Why do unions exist in the first place? If employers did the right thing, there wouldn't need to be unions in the first place. Okay? So that's why unions are there, to protect the workers. Now, that's not socialism. That's not the government in control. That's a group of men deciding, you know what, we're not going to work for you. Okay, and in my grandfather's time, the unions were more like a mafia, where they would just take the employer out back, and probably he'd be dead in a ditch somewhere for not doing the right thing. I mean, that's how the Teamsters were founded upon and stuff. But we need to support unions, is what I'm trying to say. Unions are under attack. Okay, unions are under full-blown attack with globalization and stuff, and they're trying to destroy unions by bringing even more immigrants. Am I going to pay this guy $35 an hour, or going to pay Pablo $10 an hour off the books?
Muhammad. So, who's the main enemy of the unions?
It's a good question. Well, the problem is with the unions, they vote Democrat, and my friend had to go out and hand flyers. He's trying to get more involved in his union to try to kiss ass and whatever. So he was like, I'm gonna go try and support my union a little bit more, maybe make some new job connections and work my way up the ladder, so to speak. So he went down to the Bronx. He not down to the Bronx. He went up to the Bronx to go hand out flyers for a illegal Hispanic who's running for like city council. Okay. So he's showing it to me. He's showing me the flyer he's handing out, and I go, so pretty much you're handing out flyers to people that are trying to outbreed you and kill you and get rid of your job. Is that what you're trying to tell me right now? He goes, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much that's what I'm doing. Because what the unions, again, they don't realize it. They're supplying the bricks to their own prison at this point. And so that's why I support what? Go on.
Why was he doing it? What was his justification for doing it?
Because unions vote Democrat. Because for whatever reason, and I guess I kind of know the reason, unions are, I guess, like a bit considered socialist in considered left, right? Because it's a group of guys. It's a group. It's a union. That's what it is. So union socialism. I'm thinking that's kind of the whole thing behind it. Because it's the blue collar worker. And the blue-collar worker for the past 30 or 40 years votes Democrat. He'll never vote Republican because the Republican is what? Race to the bottom, cheap labor, sweat factory. That's kind of the whole, stereotypical GOP.
Do unions have any kind of roots in socialism?
Yes, of course.
So are they pretty deep roots? I mean, because...
it's the worker. Of course. That's the whole thing behind it. I mean, unions came out of the whole progressive era, in the early 20th century.
So if unions are under attack and unions sort of are rooted in socialism, is that because, I don't know, because if you follow sort of the mainstream social media, there's always like this narrative of this upswing of socialism slash communism, and the Republicans trying to keep it down. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is that the Democrats love immigrants for the votes, okay,
Mhm.
and the Republicans love the immigrants for the cheap labor, okay, and that puts the unions in the middle of the
Ah,
crosshairs between the
I see.
two. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, for my friend, obviously would vote Republican, but he works for a union that is pro-Democrat. You see what I'm saying? So
Oh,
that's why I was joking with him. I go, so you're handing out flyers to the fat Hispanic councilwoman who's probably going to try getting rid of your job and putting her own people in your shoes. You see what I'm
mhm.
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
That's why and they're going after pensions. They're going after pensions. That's the other thing. And look, I mean, unions for the most part they have it pretty good. They make a lot of money. They don't exert a lot of they're hard to get. It's hard to fire someone in the union. It's not easy, but unions promote they the trades. So if you're in a plumbers union, they put you through school, so you get an apprenticeship, right? You
Hmm.
get an apprenticeship and you learn the job and work your way up. Whereas now, if you bring in the illegal immigrants, they'll just do it for $15 an hour off the books.
Mm. Well, here, Swine Dog 712 just mentioned nothing is more socialist than Social Security. And look how
Oh, okay.
popular
So what do
that
you
is.
want? Let me ask him now. Let me ask you. You want to privatize Social Security? Yeah. How is that going to work out?
Well, okay. When we talk about Social Security, we're talking about taxes put aside for
Right.
for individuals that need the money when they don't have it, right? Um,
Right.
and you're saying, again, very socialist concept. And you're saying, what should we do? What did you say? Privatize it?
Privatize Social Security. No, I'm not. I'm saying that would be a horrible idea. Privatizing it.
Hmm. So how? Yeah. How would that work, though?
What, privatizing Social Security?
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't really know. I actually something Noam Chomsky was talking about, but I don't really. What happens is there's a theory that the government fucks things up on purpose so they can privatize things and then obviously exploit it and make money off of it. All right,
Hmm.
which in a way that makes sense. I personally don't agree with that. I just think government, because there's no competition, the government just fucks everything up because again there's no competition, right? I kind of tend to agree with that philosophy,
Well,
but
in a in a culture where there is no Social Security, I mean, how does that affect
you
kind of?
plan for your future and then you don't spend your money. I think social security is a good idea because you're going to get old someday. And what if you just spent all your money your entire life and you get old and you have nothing?
Mhm.
Who's going to take care of you then? Well, at least you had Social Security that the government was taking money away from you all that time, and they give it to you at the end. Here's your money that you didn't spend because you were an idiot when you were younger.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, um, there's no Social Security in Indonesia, right, where I live, and I noticed this right away, and I saw how the people dealt with it. You're right. They put their money away, and another big thing is families stay together for their entire lifespan. Uh,
Yeah.
th- there's no such thing as leaving the house at 18. Doesn't exist.
Okay, but again, that goes back to the whole elegant extinction, where if you stay in your hometown your entire life, you're a social pariah. So, like for example, I had to go up to my college campus to go get transcripts for some reason, and I saw some people that graduated high school with me, and the first thing out of their mouths were, "Oh, you're still here? Oh, you still live in this town?" Unbeknownst to then, I've been out of the country for 4.5 years, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. All right, fucking jerk off, fucking moron.
Well,
Like, yeah, that's me. Going down a local watering hole. So you become a social pariah. So instead of marrying your neighbor who has your same ethnic background, who went to the same school as you, who probably enjoys the same things as you do, she doesn't like you because all she thinks about when she sees your face is her upbringing, her
yeah.
background, where she comes from. She wants something new. She wants something exciting. She wants that big black cock in her face.
No, but yeah, you're right, because like, okay, without the Social Security, these people live with their parents until they get married themselves, and then as soon as their parents are too old to take care of themselves, they move in with the kids. You see,
Yeah.
it's just constant. It's this very deep and thick family social structure, and that's how these societies survive without the concept of Social Security. I've seen it, and you're right. They do marry in their hometowns. They do marry in their,
Of course.
yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do. But I've written about this. Again, I will release my writing in time. I want it to be perfect. My writing's gonna be so perfect, so beautiful. Donald fucking J will fucking love it, okay? So
Mhm.
anyway, I've written about this. The girl that grew up next door to me, she's Italian. She actually looks like somebody, like we look related in a way, I guess. I'm not saying that we are related, but you can tell we're both Italian and
Okay.
probably both eat the same foods and everything. She absolutely hates me. She wants nothing to do with me. She's a little bit fat. She's gonna be obese when she gets older. She's gonna be a fat fucking whale. But for now, I would definitely totally hit it. But she's so nasty to me. What does she want? Where are her views coming from to hate her neighbor, to hate someone of her own background? Why would she do that? What is she looking for? You see what I'm saying? When in
Mhm.
fact, in my view, if she was nice to me, if I would marry her if she was a decent person. But she's a horrible, disgusting, what is a wrench or wench,
Wretched
Western wench.
wench. Oh yeah,
She's a
wench.
horrible, yeah, she's a horrible person, and I don't think she's ever gonna get married. To be honest with you, because she's so nasty to everybody.
Well, if she fits into the norm of women today in American society, she probably won't. I mean, if she's a statistic, she won't. She won't
She
be.
is. She's not that bright. What's the average girl do? Studies cosmetology. Okay.
Mhm.
Knows how to do nails, nail salon, beauty school, fashion designer. All the girls that go to New York City think they're fashion designers. It's
Of
fucking
course.
hysterical.
Well, here,
You're all fashion designers.
Swine Dog 712 said Social Security is probably the biggest reason we haven't had a real economic depression in the last 70 years. I'm not an.
But mind you, that as soon as they opened Social Security, FDR tapped right into it. Right, so don't forget that thing. Is that as soon as they opened it, what did FDR do? Tapped right into it and took money out of it.
Oh, okay. So they're taking money out of it anyway. What I mean,
I don't know what FDR did with that money, but that's the first move he did was able to take more taxpayer money.
right. Well, the thing is as Social Security as sort of a reform of society, how it shapes a culture. I was mentioning how it may play a part in kind of breaking up that tight family structure that is kind of like the core of a society, whereas we took care of each other, and then that might have played a part in breaking that up. I don't think it's 100% the reason why, but it might have played a part because
Uh, No, but it certainly plays a factor into it. But mind you, it's not enough. Social
yeah,
Security is not enough in the modern world. And mind you, if you didn't pay into it, you don't get anything in return. So if you have an off the books job, you don't
yeah,
get Social Security.
that's right. That's right. Well, that's that, but that would be worse in a society where there is Social Security.
There's going to be no, you're in Canada. You don't understand though. Is that the baby boomers are just because there's FDR wasn't planning baby boomers, right? He didn't know about there was going to be a population explosion after World War II. So the government's probably just gonna raid Social Security to pay off the debt that the latter generation has generated. And I don't think my generation will see Social Security. I'm not planning. I
Yeah,
plan on not receiving Social Security. I already have that in the back of my mind.
yeah, that's probably a smart idea. I mean, I guess the difference is in our cultures here. With if you plan for no social security net, the one thing you might not have is sort of that family structure to fall back on if you need to. That's kind of been disintegrated here.
Well, again, I want to go back to just being the whole again the family, the nucleus family, the nuclear family. That's a modern concept. That's only
No,
been
no, no.
around for like the past 40, 50 years. You usually have your grandparents living in the same house.
Yes.
I know in the house I'm residing in, both my step grandparents live in this house, and my stepmother looks after the two of them. And they
Nice.
actually add a little unique flavor to the house. I think, even though there's me, dude, it's a fucking pain in the ass to have two 95-year-old people in this house. It's a goddamn nightmare. But that's a topic for another day. But it's kind of cool in a different way. And mind you, that this 95-year-old he was in Papua New Guinea for World War II. He was an
Nice.
attorney. He was an attorney he was a very successful attorney for 40, 50 years. And if you actually sit down and listen to the old fucking guy, he's actually got a lot of really cool stories to talk about.
Oh yeah, imagine. Definitely, man.
But
Definitely.
instead, what do we do to old people? What do we do to old people? We put them in a nursing home,
Yeah, and just
right?
forget
I don't
about
have
it.
time for you.
Yeah.
Just they go over there to die. I'll see you on the holidays. All right, and then that's really sad. So we put our elder people in nursing homes, and we put the youngest people in state-run daycare,
Yeah. Yeah.
while we go to work and we buy Rolex watches.
Yep. That's the state we live in. And on that note, Nick, I think we're going to wind this down. It's 2.5 hours. I don't want to. I don't want to stick around and hope that expat comes on because he might not be able to come on for like another hour. So
No, we did well.
we did well. I know. I was happy. It's too bad. It's too bad Sovereign didn't get in, but that's all right. Um,
No, we accomplished a lot tonight. That was a good session.
yeah, very good. And again, with the people listening, I just want to mention a few things. If anybody is interested in joining a conversation at any point, contact me on Google Hangouts so we can have a little bit of a chat beforehand to set something up.
You got to set up a questionnaire, though. You're not just invited. This
No,
is
no.
VIP only.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
what are you bringing to the table?
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I want to talk to you first. Find out what you want to bring to the table. Also, Paul Proteus, I'm going to work on getting him on here. Nick, I think you'd love this
Who
guy.
is that? You mentioned him before.
He's great. He's great. He's a guy. He's a kind of an old MGTOW guy that's been around for a while, and he's fantastic. Look up his channel. I did a few talks with him. I will actually, before we get out of here.
Send me his link. Send me a link to his stuff when we end this.
Okay. Hold on a second here. Oh, yes. I just want to make sure.
Second.
No, I know. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Yeah, it's there. I'll send a link to you when we're done this because we can talk for a bit afterwards. But yeah.
Paul is cool.
Anyway, I will try to get Paul Proteus on. He's really cool. And again, Armchair Revolutionary, I got you on the back end through Hangouts. We can talk sometime next week and maybe see what we can do. We'll try to get Sovereign on again. And also, if you guys enjoyed that kind of talk I had with the First Nations guy, he's interested in doing something else later on, so I might get him on again in a couple weeks. But anyway, Nick, thanks for the talk. Thanks everybody for listening. And
yeah, I had fun. That was a lot. I enjoyed tonight. That was great.
Yeah, it was. It was nice. It was nice, just me and you today. It was great. So we'll try to keep it up. We'll do it again next Saturday around the same time. And anybody that's listening, just understand, it's a Saturday night, and we're just fucking bullshitting on the internet.
Saturday night circle jerk, MGTOW circle jerk.
That's right. We ain't going out, man.
Chemtrails, Jews, and elegant extinction.
Absolutely, absolutely. So join us
All
again.
right.
Join us again next Saturday night for the Saturday night circle jerk, and we'll talk to you everybody later. All right. Take it easy.
All right. Good night, all.
Good night.